This is London Calling, and here is the 9 o'clock evening news from the BBC. It has been announced today that the people of Poland have taken up arms against the occupying forces of Nazi Germany. In spite of widespread demolition by the retreating German armies, it is believed that street-by-street fighting is occurring throughout Warsaw. Although much of the city has been destroyed, our special correspondent reports that a large number of freedom fighters have emerged from the sewers and cellars to fight their Nazi invaders. General Sikorski, the leader of the Polish government in exile in London, said today, "The land of Chopin shall soon be free." 8 divisions of the Russian army under Marshal Rokossovsky are within 50 miles of the Polish capital, awaiting the command to liberate the city.
Republic of Poland, I express my thanks to His Grace Bishop Snegowski, who has saved for our Polish nation this heart, a sacred symbol and a precious relic of one of the monuments of our national culture, Frédéric Chopin, returned now safely from exile in France. Such was the greatness of feeling contained in this heart, that for more than 100 years it has provided a source of inspiration, indeed of power, to all freedom-loving peoples. And now, in the renaissance of our People's Republic, safely delivered from Nazi domination by our friends and allies of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And what is this power of which I speak? What of this heart which knew how to transform the innermost feelings of our Polish people into a music that was and is the purest expression of our Polish national feelings? The brutal invader has destroyed with murderous passion all the monuments of our culture and our past, but he could not break our spirit. Poles, let the music of our beloved Frédéric Chopin be for us a stimulus to work and rebuild, together with our allies and friends from the Soviet Union, the greatness of our fatherland.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Madam...
Chernitska, Paulina.
Ah, Madam Chernitska. Will you come in? Ah, the mess. No help, you know? These times. It's hard enough to get electricity. Though actually it doesn't function too well even when you get it. Our friends the Russians, eh? Well, I suppose they do their best. We should be thankful to be alive. Well, at least there are no more bombs. So, you have something to show me. For publication, I hope. I'm afraid our magazine can't afford to pay much.
I have letters.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Actually, fragments of letters. And hearing you were preparing a new biography of Chopin.
Oh, yeah. If only. Everything got interrupted by the war, of course. Yet more of the Chopin archive destroyed. First the revolution in Warsaw of 1830, then the revolution in Warsaw of 1863, then the Russians, the French, the Russians again, and most recently, of course, the Germans. Thank you very much. It's amazing a single piece of paper has survived. Do you know, during the Nazi time, we weren't even allowed to mention his name. Chopin was unpatriotic. Absolutely verboten. You could be shot.
I have letters from Chopin to Countess Delfina Potocka.
I'm sorry, dear lady, that's not possible. I myself have searched for years and, well, Delfina? No. She was a minor love affair, rich, idle courtesan, mistress of the Duc d'Orléans.
Yes, and a singer of rare beauty. And a pianist second to none, save Chopin himself.
Oh, come. She was a loose woman. Napoleon I's nephew even threatened suicide because of her. A devil, he called her, who, even if she loved, lost her heart last of all. Yes, we know all these stories. Besides, she's known to have destroyed all her correspondence. She was a beauty, though, I'll grant you. She was a beauty.
She was my great-grandmother. On my mother's side. The family coma.
When?
I found them before the war, in a trunk in the attic. My father was a pianist. I learnt the piano with Professor Spinalski. A pupil of Paderewski, you know. When the Nazis came, we had to bury everything. Only now has it been possible.
I'm sorry, dear lady. These are typescripts. They're illegible and ridiculous. You really can't explain.
My father always said that Delfina was the center of his life. Of Chopin's life. The beginning and end of life itself.
Think how strange and marvelous it is. The identical energies that are used to fertilize a woman, that is to say, for creating a man, are also used to create a work of art. The same life-giving essence that a male squanders
for a passing moment of pleasure can also bring moments of joy that will last forever. When a great love overwhelms me and temptations tear me like dogs, I forget about the world and am ready to give everything to a woman. Findelka, I've never loved anyone as I love you. My dream of life, my dancing partner. Oh, let me dance with you tonight. I have never lost my passion for you, or the taste of you, my Findelka.
Findelka?
It's an anagram of Delfinka, an affectionate form of Delfina.
But these are pornographic, Madame Janiska. And anti-Semitic. If the preludes are now in print, it is a filthy trick of those bastard publishers, bloody Germans, Jews, rogues, swine. I'll leave you to finish the list. You know them as well as I do. What's this? Hertz, the little Jew, had to play some variations of his own. You have no idea what Jewish ingredients they were seasoned with, and then to draw the public called Polish music. Madame Czerniska, if these fell into the wrong hands, they could be interpreted as a gross slander on Chopin, on Poland. They should be destroyed.
But Professor Iwaszkiewicz, they are true.
They cannot be! I believe them to be forgeries. Where's your proof? These are fragments. Copies. Photos. Not an original amongst them.
There are others. Will you destroy these too? I am not the right person to give concerts. The public intimidates me. I feel asphyxiated by the breath of the audience, paralyzed by their curious stares, struck dumb by that sea of unknown faces.
You cannot believe the martyrdom I suffer days before I have to play in public. I have to dress up, do my hair, and wear a detached and satisfied look on my face. It's only when I'm dreaming of you that I can be as I please. I am the acquaintance of everyone, but the intimate of no one, save you, my Delfinka.
energies for creating a man are used to create a work of art. Dearest Findelka, you asked about my upbringing. It was of the humblest kind. I was born in Zelezowa Wola, a village in central Poland. Some say
I was born in 1809, others that my birthday is on February the 22nd. I believe I was born on March the 1st, 1810. It's all very confusing. I was the second of 4 children. My sister Ludwika is older by 2 years. Isabella and dear Emilia were both younger. My mother, Justina, played the piano at our family celebrations, such as Christmas. And since I loved to imitate everything she did, she soon encouraged me to have proper lessons with a friend of her cousins in the great city of Warsaw. By the time I was 8, I had played for the Grand Duke Constantine, the absolute ruler of the Russian province of Poland and brother of the Tsar. Later, I even played for the Tsar himself. He was so impressed, he gave me a sapphire ring as a reward. My father was a wheelwright from Marinville in France, although his father had originally come from Poland. We were poor, but happy. We really were. A true family. In all my years of wandering and searching, even when we moved to Warsaw to be near my teacher, I never found such happiness again.
He lies in the manger. Who will sing songs to the little one? May we, a year from now, break the wafer together again?
was Chopin like to look at? Some say he had round eyes and an oval face. His passport said he weighed 44 kilos, just under 7 stone. Yet he was already 27 years old. Another description said he had bloodless lips with the mouth and chin of a boy. His great Bourbon nose, the butt of so many jokes, he was rather proud of. And then there were those velvet fingers. One said he had the hands of a snake. But I say, what was Chopin like to look at? He was like his music, an angel crossing the sky. Here today, at the opening of this exhibition, Chopin and his Warsaw, the first such exhibition in the new Warsaw, born out of the ruins of war, to celebrate our new freedom, our new dignity as a free and independent nation guaranteed by our friends from Russia. Let us not forget our history and the struggles that have brought us to where we are today. At the Congress of Vienna, 1815, Europe ravaged by Napoleon, Poland divided, splintered into 3, one part to Austria, one part to Russia, but one part, the so-called Kingdom of Poland, Warsaw as its capital, Tsar Alexander crowned King of Poland, his brother the Grand Duke Constantine Viceroy. Stop.
Why are you looking upward? Do you read your music on the ceiling?
So, I am pleased to announce the shortlist of finalists in the state competition for a commemorative statue of our national hero, Frédéric Chopin.
She has documents,
A bust,
letters.
Of the composer
It'd be a scandal.
Good name tarnished.
All this would be a laughingstock.
Yes, but are the letters true?
That's irrelevant. There are larger concerns.
Indeed, there are.
And the proposed statue of Frédéric Chopin sitting under a chestnut tree was considered.
Poland needs heroes.
Fourth,
Now more than ever.
young pioneers
Not charlatans
enthusiastically waving
or pornographers.
Today in Poland, we're all charlatans.
Yes, but not pornographers.
But selling one's heritage to a foreign power, for a so-called Union of Europe, isn't that pornography?
In these so-called letters, Chopin uses words like swine, fuck, farmyard language. He even calls Franz Liszt a pig and a trickster.
So?
The woman wants money.
So do we all.
Including you.
I'm just doing my job, however distasteful.
Is it? Distasteful?
Serving the state?
Yes, but which state? I would have thought it would have been a rather noble cause.
Serving the state?
Yes. Especially ours. With its belief in justice.
Justice and truth.
Aren't those two the same?
The woman claims she's a descendant of Delfina Potocka, through the Kolmar line.
The what?
The Kolmar line. Either a great-granddaughter or great-niece, depending on which day of the week she tells it. But again, there's no proof. Kolmar, there are dozens of them.
Dozens. An oyster sprinkled with sugar.
Of this important international venture.
What?
Chopin.
She claims to have lost the originals. Lost them, I ask you.
Much was lost in the war.
Including Poland.
And so, the winner to be on permanent display outside the new, as yet unbuilt, Parliament building is to be of our great leader, Joseph Vissarionovich Stalin, holding in his hands the manuscript of Chopin's Preludes.
Well.
To His Honour, Stanislas Radkiewicz at the Ministry of the Interior. Since you refused to see me today, when I visited the ministry to complain that my apartment had been broken into and its contents ransacked, I enclosed some new copies I have made of the Chopin correspondence. See, they include references to the lives of other composers, a fact which, I submit, proves their authenticity. After all, what Chopin says here can easily be verified. I remain Paulina Czenicka. In one letter, Chopin wrote, "I am not sending you as yet what Robert Schumann called my guns buried in flowers, my mazurkas. First, I still have to make a fair copy of them. And second, they're not made for dancing.
My little dear, whispering who knows what in your sweet ear. Can you imagine what joy there will be when I am entering your other wedding?
Madam Chernitska?
Who wants her?
I hear you have certain letters for sale.
Who told you?
May I? My card. My business is publishing, mostly in France, although I am Polish, or was. Who knows these days? But my passion is Chopin. On behalf of the Chopin Society, I intend to edit and publish all his letters. A lifelong study, you understand. I think perhaps we can help each other. Madam Chernitska, these letters, the ones you possess...
Fragments.
They are...
Undated.
I see.
The family never wanted them published.
And
in any case, the originals are no longer in Poland.
Madam Chernitska, can you not give me proof that these letters, the originals, exist? It is known, of course, that Chopin did have a liaison with the Countess Delfina Potocka, wife to Count Mieczysław Potocki, who sold his country to the Russians, the traitor. She was openly unfaithful. Mind you, so was he. But the affair was only brief.
No. It lasted all his life. My letters prove it.
Your letters, Madam
Even during the
Chernitska.
public affair with Georges Sand. Even at his deathbed, she was the last to visit him. She sang for him at his request.
Delfinka. Beware Mademoiselle de Rosière. She is a swine who, in some strange way, has dug her way into my garden and burrows there with her snout, looking for truffles among the roses. Beware Liszt, a rouged Jericho on stilts who puts other people's works between his covers while looking at the stars through an enema tube. A scarecrow in ribbons and frills with the creative brain of a pea. Hardly the letter of a serious artist, Madame Chernitska. More the letter of a child.
We present The Mistake or the Pretended Rogue by Frédéric and Amelia Beecham. I am the mayor you all can see. My daughter fair, come close to me, and let me kiss you if I may.
Upon St. Nicholas' Day. In February, my little sister Amelia developed a cough. Dr. Malch ordered bloodletting. She was bled once, twice. She began to spit blood. Mother became frightened. They applied countless leeches, vesicatories, no end of trouble. Throughout the time, She ate nothing. She grew so thin. She became unrecognizable. You cannot imagine how it was. And a week later, like a flowering blossom, with the hope of a beautiful fruit, she died.
I once read that his music seems to have been wept onto his piano. To help us establish the truth, I can perhaps arrange a broadcast from Poznan, strictly unofficial, of course. Others might come forward with evidence. We shall call the broadcast Chopin, the Great Socialist Revolutionary.
The abortive revolution of 1830 in Warsaw was a severe blow to Chopin, then aged 20. An old brewery on the Vistula was put to flame. The Grand Duke's palace at the Belvedere stormed, but the Duke escaped. From earliest manhood, Chopin too had espoused the cause of free Poland, free of the Russian yoke. Free Poland, free of the Russian yoke. Chopin had actually been in Vienna earlier that year, having been sent abroad for his health, for his education, and for the avoidance of trouble. But when the trouble began,
Poland!
Here. Go and make Poland's name resound across Europe. Yes! We shall fight on! Fight on! Yes! Oppose him! So leave thy friends and cherished kin, and clothe thy fame in immortality. From foreign princes such glory shall you win, but never shall they love you more than we. To friends.
But on all his travels, he carried with him a silver cup, filled with the soil of Poland, so that he should forever remember his sacred duty, to keep alive the hope that one day Poland would be free.
To Poland!
But he also carried with him a silver handkerchief, given him by the Countess Delfina Potocka, to avenge what my husband did.
My thanks. My thanks.
Stay a little.
You know I cannot. My coach awaits me. I must go tomorrow.
Tomorrow is All Souls' Day, the day of mourning, the Day of the Dead. When the uprising failed, crushed by General Paskevich with orders from the Tsar, Chopin could not return. And so it was to the Countess Delfina that he now began to confide his innermost thoughts. Delfina. All 5 children she had by her husband Mishisław died, some in childbirth. She left him. It was thought he was epileptic. Not least, she despised the arrangement he'd made with the Russian invaders to keep his land, his fortune, in return for supporting the regime imposed by the Tsar and his brother, the Grand Duke Constantine. No one knows how many letters Chopin wrote her. Most are thought to have been lost. But before the last war, while searching for evidence of my own lost estates, I came across a box in a vault of the commercial bank, in which were 9 long letters from Chopin to my great-grandmother, Delfina. They had been in the possession of the Koma family of Lithuania. Delfina was a Koma, as am I. I regret that I have not published these letters before. They are perhaps too bold, too sensuous. But I have now had some of them copied and certified as being correct copies by a notary. I shall quote from one, written soon after Chopin's arrival in Paris. At every step, there are posters about venereal disease. Here is more noise, clamour,
clatter and mud than can be imagined. greatest virtue and the greatest vice. Nobody asks how anyone lives. This, the city of Rossini, of Delacroix, of Balzac, of Meyerbeer, Berlioz. A city of plague and pestilence. Cholera has driven all the rich people into the provinces. Nonetheless, I am advancing in the world. The ladies wish me to give lessons. But in what? Piano playing? I, who never had a lesson in my life, except for old Svinny in Warsaw. Still, at 20 francs an hour, with only 1 ducat in my purse. Given to me by Maria Woszinska, to whom I was betrothed, in spite of her mother. In bed by 11, drink eau de gomme for your cough, and wear woolen stockings, she said. Farewell, farewell. I shall go to America. My love to you all, Frédéric Chopin, purveyor of waltzes, and pauper. P.S. My nose is longer than ever. Marry a penniless itinerant musician, said her father. What? Endlessly postponed, and eventually she married another.
Chopin always kept his letters from Maria, and a rose she had given him, tied in a bundle with a pink ribbon, with a little note saying simply, "My misery." But Maria was not the only source of his misery, and he poured out his disappointment in letter after letter to Delfina. As this, for example. An old lady of the Rothschild family, Jewish of course, asked me what my fee was were I ever to consider giving a public concert, which, as you know, I loathe. When I told her 20 guineas, she advised me not to charge so much. This season, she said, it was necessary to come down in price. In the world of high society, they have so much entertainment and are so taken up with matters of social precedence that whether the music they hear is good or bad,
Really?
couldn't be less important. Like
She must be stopped.
We are risking the reputation of one of our few undisputed heroes.
It's sacrilege.
For the good of the state.
For the good of Chopin.
Really? I do so like a good tune.
It is necessary to have music which ennobles the soul, gives a positive attitude.
For the good of the state. Precisely.
The next thing she'll be telling us that he was really French, not Polish at all.
As in Chopin. As in Chopinski. But he was, wasn't he? French. Well, at least his father was, I heard. A wheelwright. Yes, a wheelwright.
Why his father left France for Poland, no one knows. It was thought he was obsessed by the idea that he was the bastard son of a gentleman at the court of King Stanislas, with whom his mother had had an affair while the king was in exile in Lorraine. Perhaps Chopin's father hoped that in Poland he might find evidence of this.
Enough.
No.
Enough. I told you he was French.
No, enough. Now look here.
I told you he was French. Told you. French.
Oh, really?
He was French.
Really?
Yeah, French. Yeah, French.
In spite of his great reputation as a pianist, Chopin gave less than 30 public concerts in his entire life. In Austria and Germany, almost never. For over 10 years, he refused to play before a paying audience at all. Paris was very worldly. He played only for money. But Paris gave him flattery rather than financial support. Paris. A mere stepping stone, or so he thought, on his way to England. But he stayed on the banks of the Seine for 18
long years. In Paris, they too spoke of freedom. They declared a republic. The king has fled, they shouted. King Louis Napoleon has gone. And now we have Louis Philippe, king of the grocers. The smell of war. Where will it end? There is, I hear, a Polish League of Freedom in Italy. But will Poland arise? Why is a corpse a worse thing than I am? A corpse no longer knows about father, mother, sisters. It is as cold as I am now. Cold to everything. Upon All Souls' Day. Good corpse and a vile corpse, they are as one. After all, they speak the same language. Yes. I am angry that I was dragged into being. I would have much preferred to remain in the non-living world.
Come to my home, south of Paris, Château. There you can rest in peace. welcome. This is my daughter, Solange, and this is my son, Maurice.
So kind. My beloved Delfinka, I know we are called Mademoiselle Chopin and Monsieur Georges Sand. Such an odd couple. And yes, she is a woman. But it is not what you think. She takes care of me devotedly. You wouldn't believe how good she is to me. And as for her beautiful daughter, Solange, well, to defy power, which seems omnipotent, neither to change nor falter nor And now, as winter is approaching, Madame Sand proposes, and the good doctor agrees, that for my health, we journey to the warmth of Mallorca, an island off the coast of Spain. She says it will be the perfect solution. I spend entire nights with the most beautiful of women. Women who sing to me like no other. Jealous, my dearest. I speak only of my etudes, my children by you. You already have my piano concerto, dedicated to you, and you alone. But, like any proud parent, I love my youngest children best. And wait, I shall soon be pregnant again with our child. The child we so wish.
All rise.
Madam Chernitska, you are charged with bringing into disrepute Poland and Poland's history, and in particular the good name and reputation of Frédéric Chopin. This by means of the manufacture of certain letters and documents purporting to be by the said Frédéric Chopin to one Countess Delfina Potocka, a known troublemaker and whore, an aristocrat who opposed Russian rule. Whereas in fact, these letters are entirely fraudulent.
Adored Findelka, my life, my dearest. My room here is the shape of a huge coffin. There's an enormous arch covered in dust, with a little bay window overlooking orange trees and cypresses.
These letters are a compendium of phrases and tittle-tattle gleaned from other letters. even the so-called facts are wrong. For instance, the writer calls the mistress of France Liszt the Princess Marie d'Agout, as she was, of course, only a countess. They represent Chopin as a hypocrite, an anti-Semite, and a vulgar little boy with a pathological obsession with fornication and death. And as if that were not enough, the letters indicate that Chopin had an uncanny knack of foretelling the future. Namely, he predicts that as a result of the composer Schumann's attacks on him, Schumann will go crazy. Well, well, well. Namely, he predicts that Madame Potocka will sing at his deathbed. Well, so indeed she did. But did Chopin predict this?
What? What is it?
Somebody shouted out the name of my father.
These so-called letters are, in fact, not letters at all, but fragments. Golden thoughts, as Madame Chernitska herself has described them. Undated, without beginnings or ends. But why will she not produce the originals? She claims she lost them. Lost the originals? Ah, but she claims to have made certified true copies before a notary. But which notary? Why cannot he be produced? Because she can't remember who he was.
He will not. He cannot. You'd have had him arrested had he come forward.
Oh, come, come. This is not a totalitarian state. We have the law, justice, the search for truth. Not for scapegoats, Madame Chernitska, nor for excuses. Excuses that only 18 fragments were produced, which somehow, magically, during the course of 1 year, grew to 60 fragments. And then to 106 fragments. Well, Why did she not produce all 106 at the beginning? Answer, she could not. Seeing that the so-called experts, those desperate to demean the memory of Chopin, were taken in by the initial fragments, she simply forged an ever-increasing number in the hope of financial reward.
I never asked for money!
And finally, and most shamefully of all, these so-called letters pour scorn on the well-known relationship between Chopin and his lover, Georges Sand. One of the most celebrated love affairs of the 19th century.
As for Madame Sand, people invent more lies than truths. My liaison lasted less than a year. It came to an end when I again fell ill. And no wonder, all that pork in Mallorca. The only animals on the island were pigs, apart from a few disease-ridden sheep. The olive oil was stale, the bread soggy, the sugar unrefined. My illness served as a pretext for her to break with me. Apparently, I wasn't enough for her. So, we returned to Nord. When Sand and I were together, dearest Findelka, I have always thought of you. The idea that she inspires great works in me is absurd. I only polished up old works, preparing for the printer works that had been lying around for ages, and maybe should have stayed that way. She's even written a novel about us, Lucrezia Floriani. My character is sickly and weak, of course, hers slight and stout. Believe me, I love her as one loves one's mother, nothing more. I have never opened my soul to her. She is, after all, a foreigner, who cannot therefore possibly understand me. Sand's embraces were really maternal love, and after her there were only passions without love. Sometimes I am so suffocated that I feel like describing her as a 5-foot cigar-smoking midget who uses me as her toy, her property. But at least in her house, the Chateau Noir, there is silence. One can cry out and still there is silence. Well, sometimes. The other day, Solange's brother even tried to kill her lover in a jealous rage. Madame Sand had to intervene. Her unquenchable passion for an argument is a disease. Her unquenchable passion for me is something to beware. Because of her, my music will soon sound like the noise of breaking crockery. You have always been my dream of life, my dancing partner. You were my first mistress, so be my last.
And so she was. There are, after all, no love letters from Chopin to Madame Sand. True, Sand's own letters, most of them, were destroyed by Alexandre Dumas at Madame Sand's own request. But those which remain give no hint whatsoever of any intimate relationship. Our turbulent history has seen so many of our treasures destroyed. Soon after Chopin's own death, a bomb was hurled at General Berg, the Russian Governor-General. It missed, as usual. But in reprisals, Russian soldiers plundered Berg's palace, which happened by chance to house what were thought to be all Chopin's mementos. Letters to family and friends, manuscripts, books, even his piano, on which he played when he was at the conservatoire. An excellent bonfire it made, did it not? What were to be the beginnings of the Chopin Museum went up in flames. Russian flames. How can you be so certain that my letters, preserved by some miracle which even I don't understand, should not be respected for what they are? A voice from the past. Why, even when he went to Scotland that last summer, paid for by his Scottish mistress Jane Stirling, he was still writing his love letters not to Madame Sand, but to Delfina.
I am like a donkey at a masked ball. I've not had a single musical idea since I arrived. I play Scottish songs to the old lord on my little giraffe, and then the dear man hums in unison. Yesterday, I met the 13th cousin of Mary Stuart. Here, it is nothing but cousins of great families and great names that no one has ever heard of. The entire conversation is about genealogy. It's like the Gospels. This one begat that one, and that one begat... I feel so weak. I cannot compose anything. I have no desire. Plus, I am tossed from tree to tree. The Duchess of Argyll insists I visit her, and the Lady Belhaven, and...
Do you see what they write about you, Mr. Chopin? On Wednesday, Monsieur Chopin, the great French pianist, gave a matinee musicale in the Merchants' Hall under the patronage of the most illustrious ladies of the nobility and gentry of the west of Scotland. The audience, though not large, was exceedingly distinguished. In the pieces Monsieur Chopin gave, we were particularly struck by their eccentric manner. They were novel, pathetic, and difficult to be understood. A single note was heard, moving through a peculiar series of discords and modulations. I fear they will remain sealed treasures to the greater number of amateur pianoforte performers. No exactly a succès, Monsieur Chopin. Pas de succès, Monsieur Chopin.
I sit for hours, looking at them all talking, listening to them drink, and then, exhausted and gasping, suffocating from boredom, I am carried upstairs to my bedroom, always on an upper floor. If London had not been so black, if it had not been for the odour and the fogs, I might have learned English. I might change myself into a machine. I could give concerts everywhere and perform the most tasteless pieces for money. The Scottish ladies fetch me or carry me or drive me to visit their families. On one drive, the horses bolted, the reins broke, the carriage was smashed, and I would have been thrown down a precipice had not a tree prevented my fall. I calmly awaited my last hour. The worst was an 8-hour journey by railway to Manchester, the guest of one Salis Schwaber.
Do you think Mr. Chopin sells his music? I mean, can you buy it?
Schwaber is, I was told, a most important industrialist and owns the highest chimney in Manchester. Lady Belhaven, who brought us together, brags she is a first-class musician, no doubt with the biggest... Well, once I'd been accompanying her in some Scottish melodies when she asked for an accordion to be brought, on which she played the most horrible tunes imaginable.
Is thy beloved more than another beloved? Thou dost so charges. My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000.
Everyone, everything has its price.
Another woman sang, accompanying herself on an out-of-tune piano while standing up. And what was worse, she sang a French romance in the English manner. J'ai aimé. And when I played, these women kept interrupting, saying, I do so adore your cloches, or please play me your second soupir. Like water, said another. Your music, it flows like water.
Your Mr. Chopin lends himself, but gives himself never.
Mind you, my publishers were equally cretinous, tricking out my poor manuscripts with titles like The Murmurs of the Seine or The Infernal Banquet. I ask you, what those Jewish lice will do for profit. I feel more and more on the lookout for circumstances that will enable me to
avoid seeing anyone the entire day. A bad mushroom which poisons whoever tastes it should be avoided. And to have such a burden and no place to put it down. I can scarcely breathe.
Madam Chernitska, we find it hard to accept that these letters of yours are anything other than forgeries. That anyone so refined and delicate as Chopin could have dreamt up such virulent abuse is unthinkable. Unthinkable. And your failure to produce the originals is, in our view, a deciding factor. Consequently, we, as the representatives of the People's Court of the Republic of Poland, in view of the danger that these forgeries represent to the good name of Frédéric Chopin, to the Polish people and the Polish state, hereby confiscate these letters and any other such material as may relate, fine you 2,000 zlotys, and warn you that any further attempt to publish this material will result in a severe term of imprisonment. The idea that Chopin conducted such a frivolous and vulgar discourse with a woman he hardly knew is, in our view, malicious, false, and absurd.
Ludwika, sister, you came. I tell you, sounds existed before words. The word is just the modification of a sound. Words create language, but sounds create music. And the art of manipulating sound is music. Our deepest thoughts are always expressed, not in words, but in music. God has postponed calling me to him so that I can once again hear you sing, see you dance, as I always do. In my dreams, sing for me, Delfina. I shouldn't worry, Doctor. You'll soon be rid of me.
Oh, Mother.
Some paper. I implore you, when I die, to have my body opened, so that I shall not be buried alive.
Seen this?
Madame Paulina Czernicka, lately convicted of fraud by the People's Court and of defaming the memory of the composer Frédéric Chopin, was found dead yesterday outside the Ministry of Justice buildings, having apparently fallen from an 8th-story window.
Unfortunate.
Indeed.
She was threatening to publish more letters, you know.
Yes, I know. Unfortunate.
Indeed.
But she never asked for money. Did she?
It's a pity the originals were never discovered. Now, they might have been worth...
I thought certain fragments were.
Ah, yes. But they're safe now.
And so, perhaps, is she.
Indeed.
It's worrying, though.
Oh, come. No one will ever know. The incident will be forgotten.
Yes, but the fact remains with... What if they were true? The letters, I mean. I don't know all that stuff about Delfina Potocka and Jaroslaw. There was mainly tittle-tattle gossip, but his political involvement, his apparent hatred of the Jews, now, at this time, knowing what we know after the Holocaust.
The 19th century was full of anti-Semites. It was even fashionable. Look at Wagner. Even the church.
Yes, but Chopin, whose very name we were forbidden to mention during Nazi times, as if he too were one of the oppressed, as if he too were a Jew whom we persecuted, as if he too were a stain on our conscience.
Conscience? Are we allowed such luxuries? Would the Comrade General permit such things? No. We always expect our heroes to be perfect. And they never are. Except, of course, the Comrade General.
We must not permit ourselves to forget what Chopin wrote. A heart that yearned for freedom and glory.
Yes, as you keep saying.
And at what cost?
Like Madame Chernitska. We all pay a price.
Yeah. For our silence.
For our freedom.
For our survival.
According to the letters, as he lay dying, Chopin dreamed he saw Delfina dancing. To his music, of course. Dreamed he saw her singing a Polish carol he'd heard all those years ago at some harvest festival. Dreamed that his music was being played by an angel he believed was his Delfina. Vision, perhaps, that existed only in his dreams. He was a true patriot, you know. A Polish patriot. They say it's in the music.
I do believe his concerts were usually no more than a casual appearance at a charity show.
Hats off, gentlemen. A genius. Isn't that what Schumann said?
And Schumann went mad.
His mother was the only woman he really loved.
We loved him because we loved ourselves in him.
Music torn from an embittered heart, I do believe.
And the letters?
They're safe. In a private collection, I'm told.
Really? How do we know?
Oh. Just ask the music.
I do believe there was nothing permanent about him, you know. Except his cough. You'll see.